Most people assume that when a cruise ship leaves port, it travels as fast as possible toward the next destination. After all, these ships are enormous engineering marvels designed to cross oceans, and it seems logical that speed would be a priority. Standing on the deck and watching the endless water slide by, it certainly feels like the ship is moving quickly. The engines hum steadily beneath your feet, the wind presses against your face, and the shoreline slowly disappears behind you. Everything about the experience suggests forward momentum and efficiency. But here is the surprising truth. Cruise ships almost never sail at full speed. In fact, most of the time they operate far below their maximum capability. A modern cruise ship might be able to reach speeds of around 24 knots or more, yet it often travels several knots slower during a typical voyage. This is not because the ship cannot go faster, and it is usually not because of safety concerns either. The decision to slow down is intentional, calculated, and built into the way the entire cruise industry operates. At first, this idea seems counterintuitive. If cruise lines want to keep schedules and satisfy passengers, why would they deliberately avoid higher speeds? It might seem obvious that faster travel would mean more efficient trips and more time at exciting destinations. Many people assume that a ship running below full speed must be facing technical limitations or difficult ocean conditions. The reality is far more interesting, and it reveals a hidden system that most passengers never notice. Part of the confusion comes from how speed feels at sea. Without road signs, buildings, or passing scenery, it is surprisingly difficult to judge how fast a ship is actually moving. Even moderate speeds can feel impressive when you are surrounded by open water. A cruise ship traveling at 18 knots may seem just as fast to passengers as one traveling much faster. The vast scale of the ocean removes the usual reference points our brains rely on to estimate motion, creating an illusion of speed that is often misleading. If you have ever taken a cruise, think back to the moments when you stood outside watching the waves roll past the hull. How fast did you think the ship was moving? Comment below with your guess before you hear the real explanation, because most people overestimate the number by a wide margin. Cruise ships are designed with two very different speeds in mind. One is the maximum speed, which represents the upper limit of what the engines and hull can achieve under ideal conditions. The other is the operating speed, which is the pace the ship maintains during normal voyages. The difference between these two numbers can be surprisingly large, and understanding that gap is the key to solving this mystery. The real reason cruise ships rarely sail at full speed has less to do with engineering limits and more to do with a powerful hidden cost that increases dramatically as ships go faster. The biggest reason cruise ships avoid full speed comes down to something passengers rarely see but always pay for in one way or another. Fuel consumption rises dramatically as speed increases, and the relationship is far from linear. A small increase in speed can cause a massive jump in fuel usage, turning what looks like a simple time-saving decision into a very expensive mistake. Moving a structure the size of a cruise ship through water requires enormous energy. Unlike cars traveling on smooth pavement, ships must constantly push aside thousands of tons of water as they move forward. The faster the ship travels, the more resistance the hull encounters. This resistance grows rapidly with speed, which means the engines must work disproportionately harder to gain even a small increase in velocity. For cruise lines, fuel is one of the largest operating expenses. A single large ship can consume tens of thousands of gallons of fuel per day, even at moderate speeds. When the ship accelerates toward its maximum capability, that number can climb sharply. The extra fuel burned during a high-speed voyage can cost tens of thousands of dollars in a single day, and multiplied across an entire fleet, the numbers become enormous. From a business perspective, running at full speed almost never makes financial sense. Cruise itineraries are carefully planned so that ships arrive at ports on schedule without needing to rush. Instead of racing between destinations, cruise lines design routes that allow ships to travel efficiently at steady speeds. This approach reduces fuel costs while still maintaining reliable schedules. In fact, arriving too early can create its own problems. Ports operate on strict timetables, and docking space is carefully scheduled. A ship that reaches port ahead of time may be forced to wait offshore until its assigned slot becomes available. In that situation, burning extra fuel to arrive early provides no advantage at all. Weather and ocean conditions also influence speed decisions. Strong winds and rough seas increase resistance and make high-speed travel less efficient. Slower speeds often provide a smoother and more comfortable experience for passengers, reducing motion and vibration throughout the ship. While modern cruise ships are equipped with stabilizers and advanced navigation systems, maintaining a moderate speed often results in a more pleasant journey. There is also the issue of long-term wear on the ship itself. Operating engines at maximum output for extended periods places additional stress on mechanical systems. By maintaining consistent cruising speeds, operators reduce maintenance demands and extend the lifespan of critical components. Over years of service, these savings become significant. Yet even fuel costs and maintenance do not fully explain why cruise ships rarely push their limits. There is another factor that quietly shapes cruise ship speed decisions, and it has less to do with the ship itself and more to do with the experience passengers expect once they step on board. There is another reason cruise ships rarely sail at full speed, and it has everything to do with what makes a cruise different from almost any other form of travel. Unlike airplanes or trains, cruise ships are not designed to get you somewhere as quickly as possible. The journey itself is a major part of the experience, and in many cases the ship is just as important as the destinations on the itinerary. A cruise ship functions as a floating resort where passengers spend days enjoying restaurants, pools, shows, and activities. The schedule is carefully designed so that guests have time to explore the ship and relax between ports. If ships moved at maximum speed, they would often arrive too early, leaving fewer hours for onboard experiences that passengers value. Slower travel allows cruise lines to create balanced itineraries that feel comfortable rather than rushed. This approach also explains the popularity of sea days, which are days when the ship does not visit any port at all. Sea days give passengers time to enjoy the ship itself, and they are often among the most profitable parts of a cruise. Guests spend more time in restaurants, shops, and entertainment venues, which increases onboard revenue. From a business standpoint, a well-planned sea day can be more valuable than a fast trip to the next destination. Speed also affects how comfortable a cruise feels. At higher speeds, vibration and engine noise become more noticeable throughout the ship. Even small increases in vibration can be felt in cabins and public areas, especially on longer voyages. Maintaining a steady cruising speed helps create the calm and relaxed atmosphere that passengers expect when they book a cruise vacation. Environmental considerations play an increasingly important role as well. Modern cruise ships operate under strict international regulations designed to reduce emissions and protect marine ecosystems. Running at lower speeds significantly reduces fuel consumption, which in turn lowers emissions of greenhouse gases and other pollutants. Many cruise lines now use slower sailing speeds as part of their environmental strategies, both to comply with regulations and to improve their public image. Another important factor is safety margins and operational flexibility. Ocean travel involves constantly changing conditions, from shifting weather patterns to busy shipping lanes. Maintaining a moderate cruising speed allows captains to adjust routes when necessary without risking delays. If a ship needs to avoid a storm system or navigate heavy traffic near a major port, having extra time built into the schedule provides valuable flexibility. Modern navigation technology allows cruise ships to plan routes with remarkable precision, but the ocean remains unpredictable. A voyage that looks straightforward on paper may require adjustments along the way. By avoiding maximum speed during normal operations, ships retain the ability to accelerate when necessary to stay on schedule. This reserve capacity is one of the few times when cruise ships do approach their top speeds. If weather delays departure or forces a detour, the ship may temporarily increase speed to recover lost time. Passengers rarely notice when this happens, but it demonstrates that maximum speed exists primarily as a backup capability rather than a daily operating mode. In many ways, cruise ships are engineered for flexibility rather than constant performance at the limit. Maximum speed is similar to the top speed of a car on a long highway. It represents what the vehicle can do under ideal conditions, but it is rarely how it is actually driven. The most efficient and practical way to travel is usually somewhere in the middle. The next time you stand on the deck of a cruise ship watching the horizon stretch endlessly in front of you, there is a good chance the vessel beneath your feet is operating well below its true capability. The ship is not struggling or slowing down because of a problem. It is moving at exactly the speed the voyage was designed for, balancing fuel efficiency, passenger comfort, environmental responsibility, and careful scheduling. Cruise ships rarely sail at full speed because doing so would waste fuel, increase costs, reduce comfort, and disrupt the carefully planned rhythm of the journey. Slower speeds allow cruise lines to deliver the experience passengers expect while keeping operations efficient and reliable. So the next time you see a cruise ship gliding across the water, remember that what looks like a relaxed pace is actually the result of careful planning and complex engineering decisions working together behind the scenes. And here is something most people never think about. Even though cruise ships avoid full speed most of the time, they still maintain the power to move faster when it truly matters. That hidden reserve is part of what makes these floating cities capable of crossing oceans safely and reliably. If this explanation surprised you, let me know in the comments what fact you found most interesting. If this video was worth your time, a like is the best way to support our channel. And if you'd like to be here for what comes next, subscribe and stay with us. There is always more ahead. As always, stay curious, and I'll see you at sea.